All right, welcome back to the deep dive. This time, we are taking a look at 100 great marketing ideas by Jim Blythe.
One to
And
the 100.
it's a great book.
It's packed with
Wow.
like real world examples and
Yeah.
tactics you can use,
Yeah.
whether you're like a seasoned marketer or just starting out. So we're going to be talking about those unconventional, kind of surprising strategies that can hopefully make a real difference.
Yeah, and it's really about seeing how they actually played out right. Not just the ideas themselves, but like seeing them in the context of the real world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right in. Blythe has this concept he calls the giveaway gambit. And that sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? Like giving away your product for free.
It seems like it's a surefire way to go broke. But the key is that you're not giving away your entire business. You're giving away a component to be a loss leader so that it leads to
Yeah.
the thing that you actually make money on. So
Yeah.
it's like, giving away the razor to sell the blades. Like King C. Gillette, he gave away like thousands of safety razors just to create demand for those replacement blades. And that's something we still see today with like free software trials and freemium apps and things like that.
Exactly. And that's essentially what you're doing is you're providing a taste of value up front
Yeah.
and removing that barrier to entry and letting the product speak for itself. And if the product is good,
Yeah.
people will happily pay for the full experience. And there's also just a psychological element to it. People tend to place a higher value on something once they've had a chance to actually experience it, even if it was initially free.
Okay, so how can our listener apply this? What could you give away to hook your audience? Maybe a limited time free trial, maybe a free consultation, or even a valuable piece of content. If you are in the software as a service world, maybe it's a limited feature free plan. And for those offering services, maybe it's a free audit or assessment to showcase your expertise and build some trust.
Yeah, it's all about identifying that irresistible taste, that initial experience. It's going to leave your audience craving more. And remember, it needs to align with your overall business model.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about reviving a tired brand. Blythe has this really kind of audacious story about Heinz salad cream. Sales were slumping. People just weren't excited about it anymore.
Yeah, they needed to reignite that interest, tap into that nostalgia,
Yeah.
remind people why they love this product in the first place.
So they announced they were discontinuing it. It was such a risky move, but it actually worked. There was this massive public outcry. People were hoarding jars of salad cream like it was the apocalypse or something.
It's the scarcity principle at work. When something is perceived as scarce or action, about to disappear, we suddenly value it more. It triggers a fear of loss. And that's a very powerful emotional response. That can drive action. In this case, it resulted in a surge in sales.
Of course, there's a cautionary note here. This only works for established brands, like brands people already love and have that kind of history with.
You need that. Brand equity. You need that. Emotional connection with the consumer.
Exactly.
This isn't a strategy for a new product launch.
Right. This is like,
Right.
you need that history. You need that nostalgia.
Exactly.
So if you're thinking about using this approach, definitely consider whether your product has that kind of sentimental value for people.
And it is worth noting that, this tactic can be seen as a little bit manipulative by some. So while it was effective for Heinz, it's, always good to consider, the ethical implications of any marketing strategy.
Let's talk about partnerships. We all know collaborating with other businesses can expand your reach. But Blythe highlights this story that I think takes it to another level. It's about a tiny flying school in Wales. They were struggling to attract new students, and they decided to partner with local accommodation.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're leveraging existing networks there and creating a mutually beneficial relationship.
It's brilliant. These guest houses started selling trial flights to their guests, and they would earn a commission on each sale. It's not just about reach. It's about tapping into an audience that's already there. And, they're in a vacation mindset. They're potentially more open to trying new things.
Exactly. And there's also that element of trust, right? People are much more likely to try something new if it's recommended by a place that they already trust. So the guest house, in this case, is implicitly endorsing the flying school.
Totally. So it's a win-win. The guest houses get an extra revenue stream. The flying school gets access to these pre-qualified leads. So I guess the question for our listener is, who could you partner with to reach a new audience?
Yeah, think outside your immediate industry. Look for businesses with a complementary customer base. Maybe a yoga studio, partnering with a health food store, or a financial advisor teaming up with a real estate agent, I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Now, here's an idea that I think is just really thought-provoking. Your best marketers might not even be in the marketing department. Blythe uses the example of Cisco systems.
Oh,
So they have this wealth of knowledge and expertise in their field engineers. These are the people who are on the front lines,
yeah.
solving problems, building relationships with clients.
Right, they understand the product
Yes.
inside and out.
So instead of just relying on sales and marketing, Cisco decided to tap into this, like really valuable resource.
It's about recognizing that everyone who interacts with the customer can be a brand ambassador.
Yeah.
And by empowering those individuals, you're not just fixing problems, you're building trust. And you're showcasing your company's expertise.
Which translates into customer loyalty and repeat business.
Absolutely.
It's like word-of-mouth marketing on steroids. So who are the unsung heroes in your organization? Maybe it's your customer service team, maybe your product developers, or like in Cisco's case, your engineers.
Yeah, empowering them. To be brand advocates can be a real game changer.
Totally. All right, let's talk about really understanding your customer. Blythe uses the term tribe to describe those tight-knit groups that exist within your target market.
Yeah, so it's like recognizing that even within a broad target audience, there are smaller groups with shared values, interests, and even like a common language.
Right, he uses this great example of a French telecom company called Tattoo. They were trying to market pagers to teenagers, which is, I mean, that's a tough demographic.
Yeah, teenagers are very attuned to anything that feels inauthentic or forced.
Yeah.
They can spot a phony marketing campaign a mile away.
So instead of creating, some cheesy ad campaign, Tattoo decided to use real teenagers, real imagery, real language that would resonate with those specific groups.
Yeah, so they spoke their language, they acknowledged their interests, and they aligned themselves with their culture.
For a result, Tattoo became the biggest pager supplier in France.
Wow.
They weren't talking down to teenagers, they were joining their conversation. So that begs the question. What are the tribes within your target market? And are you speaking their language? Are you really connecting with them on their level?
Yeah, it's about understanding, the nuances of each tribe's worldview. And tailoring your message to resonate with their specific interests and aspirations.
Absolutely. Speaking of connecting with your audience, Blythe also talks about the power of subtle humor, especially for sophisticated audiences. And he uses this quirky campaign by BMW as a great example. Now, you wouldn't typically associate a luxury car brand with humor, would you?
Not necessarily. I mean, the automotive industry often leans towards aspiration and exclusivity, a certain seriousness.
Right. But BMW decided to kind of break the mold a little bit. They launched this really memorable press campaign that featured their cars doing these like absurd, outlandish things. Like one ad even showed a BMW that could iron your shirts.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was. It was a really clever subversion of expectations. Humor, especially when it's clever and unexpected, can be very disarming. It signals confidence and a willingness to not take yourself too seriously.
And it makes the brand more approachable, more human. Another ad showed a BMW that could call your microwave. These ads were clearly absurd. But they were also clever, memorable, and very shareable.
Yeah, humor can be a really powerful tool for generating buzz and creating that word-of-mouth marketing. Yeah. Especially for a sophisticated audience who might appreciate a little bit of subtle wit over slapstick humor.
It's not about being silly. It's about injecting a little bit of personality into your brand, making it stand out from the competition. All right, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about making things easy. We live in a world of instant gratification. Nobody wants to jump through hoops to buy something these days.
Right, convenience is king. Customers expect a seamless, frictionless experience.
And Blythe highlights this. Like really simple but brilliant example. Pizza Magic. It's a pizza delivery company in Glasgow. Now, ordering pizza is already pretty convenient. Yeah. But they took it a step further. They created an online ordering system.
And this was before online ordering was as ubiquitous as it is today. Back then, it was a revolutionary idea.
I mean, it was a game changer. No more calling, no more waiting on hold, no more misheard orders. You just click, 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 and pizza's on its way.
Yeah, and the benefits extended beyond. Just convenience for the customer. For Pizza Magic, it meant increased efficiency, reduced labor costs, fewer errors.
It was a win-win for everyone involved. And this actually highlights a broader point. Removing friction in the buying process, whether it's online or offline, can be a really powerful differentiator. So ask yourself, what are those little annoyances, those points of friction that might be causing your customers to hesitate?
Yeah, it could be anything from a clunky website
Yeah.
to a complicated checkout process.
Exactly.
By identifying and addressing those friction points, you can significantly improve the customer experience and increase conversions.
Are you ready for a packaging story? This one's so clever. It involves Avian, the bottled water brand. Now, bottled water is, well, it's bottled water. It's not exactly the most exciting product.
Right. It's
What
a
we
highly
replace.
commoditized market
Yeah.
where differentiation can be a challenge.
But Evian decided to innovate, not with the water itself, but with the bottle. They created a crushable water bottle. Now, at first glance, this seems like a minor detail,
Right.
but it turned out to be a stroke of genius.
Yeah, they transformed that
Yeah.
mundane action of disposing of the bottle into a moment of
Yeah.
unexpected delight.
Exactly. People love the tactile experience of crushing those bottles. It was oddly satisfying, and it created a positive association with the brand.
Yeah, it's a brilliant example of how considering all aspects of the customer experience, even something as seemingly mundane as packaging, can lead to unexpected wins.
It's those little touches that can make a big difference. So how can you add surprising value through your packaging or product design? What's that little something extra that will make your customers smile?
Yeah, it's about finding those hidden opportunities to elevate the ordinary, to create a memorable and delightful experience.
Okay, let's talk about events, specifically trade shows. Blythe has a whole section on making exhibitions work for you. And it's not what you might think. So the common wisdom is that trade shows are all about generating leads and closing deals.
Right. There's a lot of pressure to make those on-the-spot sales.
But Blythe argues that this is actually the wrong approach. He says that most attendees aren't even buyers.
Oh, interesting.
Think about it. You've got engineers, designers, students, even competitors. They're there to gather information, to network, to see what's new in the industry.
Right.
So instead of staffing your booth with salespeople, Blythe suggests putting your technical experts front and center, the people who can actually answer those in-depth questions and engage in those meaningful conversations.
Yeah, it's about shifting the focus from selling to educating, from transactions to relationships.
And those non-buyers can still be incredibly valuable. They might be influencers. They might have insights into your target market. They might even become customers down the line.
Yeah, it's a longer-term play. It's about building awareness and credibility within the industry.
Absolutely. Now, this next idea really got me thinking. It's about pricing, but not the way you might think.
Okay, pricing strategy is a constant puzzle. It's a delicate balance between profitability and perceived value.
So Blythe says, and I'm quoting here, set the price even on things you are giving away.
That's an interesting concept. Why put a price tag on something that's free?
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
He uses the example of this professional magazine, The Marketer. It's sent free to members of this marketing institute.
Okay, so it's a membership benefit, a value add for belonging to that organization.
Exactly. But the magazine still has a cover price printed on it. And Blythe argues that this actually makes people value it more.
It's the perceived value, the implied worth.
Yeah, a free magazine might get tossed aside, but a magazine with a 10-pound price tag, even if you received it for free, it suggests quality, it suggests substance. It's like those free gifts you'd get with a purchase. They feel more valuable when they have a supposed retail price attached, even if you didn't actually pay for them.
Yeah, we tend to equate price with value. So even if something is free, a visible price tag can subconsciously elevate its perceived worth in our minds.
Okay, let's talk about branding, specifically creating a brand that is not just memorable, but startling.
Okay, a brand that cuts through the noise and commands attention, makes a lasting impression.
Blythe uses this example of a French condom brand called, and I'm not making this up, French Letter.
Wow, okay, that's certainly a bold choice. Leaning into the double entendre there,
Yeah.
playing on the colloquial term for condoms.
It is. It's a little bit cheeky. It's a little bit risque, but it's undeniably memorable. And that's the point, right?
No.
It gets people talking. It creates buzz. It differentiates the brand from all those, bland clinical condom brands out there.
Yeah, it's a strategy best suited for brands targeting a younger, perhaps more irreverent audience. Is a lot less likely to be offended by. A little bit of suggestive wordplay.
Not every brand can or should go this route, of course, but the takeaway here is don't be afraid to be bold. Don't be afraid to push the boundaries a little bit. Create a brand that stands out and sparks a reaction.
All right, it's about finding that sweet spot between memorability and brand alignment, making sure that startling element doesn't overshadow the core values and offerings of the brand.
Speaking of standing out, let's talk about promotional gifts. We all get those free pens and keychains at trade shows.
Yeah, promotional merchandise. It's a staple of marketing efforts, but oftentimes it lacks a lasting impact.
Usually just ends up in a drawer somewhere.
Exactly.
But Blythe shares this story about a hair care company, Goldwell, and they were selling to hair salons, and instead of giving away the usual boring swag, they decided to give away free products. But here's the twist.
Okay.
They gave away products that the salons weren't currently using, specifically shampoos and conditioners.
Oh, that's smart.
It was brilliant because even if the salon owners didn't immediately switch brands, they would eventually use those free products.
Yeah, it allowed Goldwell to showcase the quality of their products.
Yeah.
And overcome the inertia of sticking with, familiar brands.
It's not just about giving away free stuff. It's about giving away the right stuff. Something that will genuinely benefit your target audience.
Exactly. Provide value, create a positive experience, leave a lasting impression. Yeah, it's all about building trust, demonstrating that commitment to customer satisfaction.
And it works. IKEA consistently ranks high in customer satisfaction surveys.
Yeah, they actually end up needing fewer managers because their employees are so capable and independent. It's a win-win. Happy customers, empowered employees, and a more efficient operation.
All right. Now, this next tactic is for those companies with a bit of a mischievous streak. Blythe calls it tease your customers.
Teasing in a marketing context that definitely piques my interest.
But it's about creating intrigue, sparking curiosity, and just standing out from, that usual marketing noise.
Yeah, it's a delicate dance. Teasing without alienating. Generating interest without. Appearing manipulative.
He gives this classic example. From the 1920s, the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, they sent out a mailer promoting retirement plans, and they glued a real 1-cent piece to each letter.
A penny. That's an unconventional touch.
It was brilliant, first of all. The weight of the penny made the envelope feel strange, so people were more likely to open it. And then the letter inside talked about how saving just 1 penny a day could add up to, a significant amount over time.
Right, so it's like a tangible representation
Love it.
of this seemingly insignificant amount.
Yeah.
But it anchors the message in this concrete, relatable way.
Totally.
And it makes the whole concept of saving for retirement feel more achievable, less daunting.
So how can you tease your customers? What's that little something extra, that unexpected element that will grab their attention, make them want to know more?
Yeah, it's about sparking that curiosity, that desire to uncover the story behind the tease.
All right, let's talk about lost customers. We all have them. It's easy to just write them off and move on, right?
Yeah, a lot of businesses focus on acquiring new customers rather than retaining existing ones.
But Blythe says that's a mistake. Lost customers aren't always lost causes. They might have left for a specific reason, but they might also be open to coming back if you address that reason.
Right, so it's about understanding the why behind the churn, identifying those pain points that led to their departure.
He uses the example of Bell South Mobility. It was a cell phone company that had a really high churn rate. And they discovered that, they were having billing issues. They weren't giving existing customers the same deals as new customers.
Right, so they were unintentionally incentivizing customers to leave.
Yeah, so they changed their policies. They started treating their existing customers better. And guess what? Churn rates went down.
It's a valuable lesson in the importance of customer retention. Acquiring new customers is often way more expensive than retaining existing ones.
So take a look at your own lost customers. Why did they leave? Is there anything you can do to win them back?
Yeah, sometimes a simple apology, a gesture of goodwill, or a policy change can be enough to entice those lost customers back into the fold.
All right, ready for a story about free glass hire?
Free glass hire?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. That's not something you hear every day.
So it's a great example of what Blythe calls baiting the hook. It's about giving something away, not to make a profit on that item itself, but to encourage customers to buy something else.
Ah, like a strategic loss leader.
Exactly. And the story involves Waitrose. It's a high-end supermarket chain in the UK. And they realize that people often throw parties, and those parties involve, a lot of shopping at the supermarket.
Right.
So they saw an opportunity to position themselves as the go-to destination for party supplies.
Yeah.
But they also knew that every other supermarket sells party supplies, so they needed a way to stand out, and that's where the free glass hire comes in.
Using the service
Yes.
to enhance the appeal
Um,
of their product offerings.
So if you're throwing a party, Waitrose will lend you all the glasses you need for free. No deposit, No hidden fees, just bring them back clean.
Yeah, that's a bold move. It's a
Yeah.
real gesture of trust. That encourages customers to reciprocate that trust with loyalty.
And it works. People love it. It saves them money. It's convenient. And it makes Waitrose seem like this really helpful party planning partner. And of course, while people are there picking up their free glasses, they're probably buying, all their other party essentials from Waitrose.
Right. It's a clever way to drive those incremental sales. This seemingly small gesture leads to larger purchases and solidifies that customer relationship.
So what's your free glass hire? What can you offer your customers that will entice them to engage with your brand and ultimately make a purchase?
Yeah, it's about finding those unexpected value adds, those seemingly small gestures that create that positive customer experience and foster loyalty.
Okay, this next idea is all about honesty and transparency. It might seem counterintuitive, but Blythe argues that sometimes it's actually better to hold on to those brochures.
Hold on to brochures. In today's digital age, I'm curious to hear the reasoning behind that.
I know. You would think brochures would be, a relic of the past. But he's talking about a specific situation, exhibitions, trade shows. Attendees are often overwhelmed with brochures. Most of them end up in the trash.
Yeah, it's true. Trade show floors are often littered with discarded brochures. It can be really tough to cut through that clutter.
So instead of trying to, out-brochure the competition, Blythe suggests acknowledging that. People are overwhelmed and offering something different.
Okay, so how do you cut through the clutter? How do you offer something of value that won't end up in the recycling bin?
He uses the example of a hotel chain, Holiday Inn. They were trying to win back this corporate client who had switched to a competitor. And instead of just, touting their features and benefits, they offered to help the client see the competition.
Oh, well, that's a bold move. It demonstrates real confidence and a willingness to let the customer make an informed decision.
They basically said, hey, we're confident that we're the best choice, but we want you to see for yourself. We'll even arrange the tours for you.
Wow, that's impressive.
And guess what? It worked. The client was so impressed with Holiday Inn's honesty and confidence that they switched back.
It's a reminder that sometimes the best marketing strategy is simply to be authentic, transparent, and genuinely helpful.
All right, let's talk about partnerships again, but this time we're talking about internal partnerships.
Internal partnerships. I'm picturing collaboration across departments, breaking down silos within an organization.
Exactly. Blythe uses the term take your partners to describe working with other departments within your own organization to achieve shared marketing goals.
Yeah, it's about leveraging those internal resources and recognizing that marketing isn't just the responsibility of the marketing department.
He shares this great example of a company that encouraged its sales force to embrace online sales. Now, you might think that salespeople would resist this.
Yeah, naturally they might perceive it as a threat to their commissions.
Right.
A bypassing of their role.
But this company, Betterware, was really smart about it. They knew that customers were increasingly comfortable buying online, so they decided to work with their salespeople, not against them.
So how do they incentivize the sales force to embrace this shift?
They offered them a commission on online sales, even if the customer had initially been contacted by the salesperson offline.
Wow, that's a brilliant strategy. Aligning incentives and encouraging collaboration. It recognizes that the customer journey is no longer linear, that online and offline interactions are often intertwined.
Exactly. So the salespeople were happy because they were still earning money. The company was happy because online sales were increasing. And the customers were happy because they had this seamless buying experience.
That's a wonderful example of how breaking down internal barriers and fostering collaboration can lead to those win-win outcomes for everyone involved.
So are there opportunities for internal partnerships within your organization? Could you be working more effectively
with other departments
to achieve those shared marketing goals?
Yeah, it's about looking beyond departmental silos and recognizing that a unified, collaborative approach is often the most effective way to achieve success.
Okay. This next idea is about empowering your employees, but on an even deeper level.
Okay.
So it's about giving your employees not just the authority to make decisions, but also the knowledge and skills to make those decisions effectively.
Right.
So that means investing in training, professional development, creating a culture of continuous learning.
Well,
Blythe uses IKEA as an example again, and he highlights their help. Rigorous hiring process and their commitment to training. They're not just looking for people who can follow instructions. They're looking for people who can think critically, solve problems, and really be true brand ambassador.
Yeah, it's a recognition that
Yeah.
employees are a company's most valuable asset,
Yeah.
and investing in their growth and development ultimately benefits the entire organization.
And it's not just about giving employees the power to make decisions. It's also about giving them the information. They need to make those decisions wisely.
Right, transparency, open communication, that free flow of information.
Blythe talks about sharing the company's vision with employees, making sure they understand the big picture and how their individual roles contribute to the overall success of the company.
Yeah, it's about creating a sense of ownership, of shared purpose, aligning individual goals with organizational goals.
So thinking about your own employees, are you giving them the tools, the knowledge, and the inspiration to be their best?
Are you empowering them to be those true brand advocates, to represent your company with pride and passion?
All right, this next idea is a bit of a cautionary tale. It's about the dangers of having a brand. That's too startling, too edgy.
Oh, that fine line between memorable and offensive, between pushing boundaries and alienating your audience.
Blythe uses the example of a brand of cigarettes called, and I'm not making this up, Death cigarettes.
Death cigarettes. That's certainly a provocative name.
It was meant to be a shock tactic, an anti-establishment statement, but it backfired spectacularly. People were offended, retailers refused to stock them, and the brand ultimately failed.
Yeah, it's a valuable lesson in understanding your target audience and the potential impact of your brand messaging.
While it's important to stand out and be memorable, it's also crucial to be mindful of social norms and cultural sensitivities. A brand that's too edgy can quickly become a liability.
It's about finding that balance between creativity and responsibility, between pushing boundaries and respecting the values of your audience.
Okay, this next idea is about making your product easy to demonstrate.
Okay, product demonstrations are crucial, especially for complex or unfamiliar products.
Blythe uses the example of the Remington typewriter. Back when typewriters were still a newfangled invention, people weren't sure what to make of it. Was it really better than writing by hand?
Ah, the Remington typewriter. It revolutionized the way we communicated and documented information.
So Remington came up with a clever way to demonstrate the typewriter's speed and efficiency. They challenged people to a typing race.
A typing race, that's a simple yet effective way to showcase the typewriter's capabilities.
They pitted a skilled typist against a fast writer. And guess who won?
I'm going to guess the typist.
Of course. The typewriter proved its worth. And Remington sold a lot of typewriters.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most effective demonstrations are simple, engaging, and directly address the customer's concerns or doubts.
So thinking about your own products or services, how can you make them easy to demonstrate? Could you create a fun, interactive experience that showcases their value in a memorable way?
Yeah, it's about finding those creative ways to engage the audience and let them experience the product's benefits firsthand.
All right, let's talk about taking your product directly to the customer.
Okay, direct-to-consumer marketing, a growing trend as technology allows businesses to bypass those traditional intermediaries.
Blythe uses the example of Avon Cosmetics. They revolutionized the cosmetics industry by using this direct selling model.
Avon, the brand synonymous with door-to-door sales, empowering women to become entrepreneurs and build their own businesses.
They realized that a lot of women,
especially,
those with young children or limited mobility, they couldn't easily get to department stores or beauty salons.
Right.
So they brought the products directly to the customer.
Creating convenience.
And accessibility.
And they didn't just sell products. They also offered, personalized advice and consultations.
Yeah, it was about building relationships, creating a personalized experience, fostering that sense of community.
Now, the door-to-door model might not be for everyone, but the principle is sound.
Yeah.
Find ways to take your product directly to your customers, whether it's through online channels, pop-up shops, or even, home parties.
Yeah, it's about meeting the customer where they are, making it easy and convenient for them to engage with your brand.
All right, this next idea is a little bit controversial, but Blythe argues that it can be effective in certain situations.
Controversial. Okay, I'm all ears. Marketing often involves pushing boundaries and challenging norms.
It's about discouraging the customers you don't want.
Discouraging customers. That seems counterintuitive. Isn't the goal to attract as many customers as possible?
Right. But Blythe says that sometimes it's more profitable to focus on attracting the right customers, even if it means deterring others. Right. It's about targeting your ideal customer profile, understanding that not all customers are created equal.
He uses the example of this restaurant that wanted to discourage rowdy late-night drinkers and attract a more sophisticated dining-focused clientele.
Okay, so how did they achieve this shift in their customer base?
Well, they changed their music, they dimmed the lights, they raised their prices, and they stopped offering happy hour specials.
Okay, so they made themselves
Ah.
less appealing to that
Yeah.
unwanted customer segment. They essentially created an environment that was more aligned with their desired clientele.
And it worked. The rowdy drinkers went elsewhere, and the restaurant was able to cultivate a more desirable atmosphere.
And attract a more profitable customer base.
It's a reminder that sometimes saying no to certain customers can be a strategic advantage. It's about focusing on the customers who are the best fit for your brand and who will contribute the most to your long-term success.
So are there certain types of customers that are actually costing you more than they're worth? Are there ways you can gently steer them elsewhere while focusing on attracting those ideal customers who align with your brand values and contribute to your long-term profitability?
Okay, ready for an idea? That involves watching people in the bathroom.
Watching people in the bathroom. I'm intrigued and slightly apprehensive.
Don't worry, it's not as creepy as it sounds. Blythe is talking about observing how people actually use your products. And sometimes that means getting a little up close and personal.
Ethnographic research, observing customer behavior in their natural environment can be incredibly valuable for understanding how products are actually used and identifying potential areas for improvement.
He uses the example of a company that makes bathroom fixtures. They were trying to figure out why some of their faucets were leaking, so they sent researchers into public restrooms to observe how people were using them.
So they were essentially doing field work, gathering real-world data on user behavior.
And they discovered that people were using the faucets in ways they hadn't anticipated. They were hanging things on them, using them as handles to pull themselves up, even using them as footrests.
Yeah, it's a classic case of the product being used in ways that the designers hadn't envisioned.
Exactly. And that led to some design changes that made the faucets more durable and less prone to leaking.
It's a reminder that sometimes the best insights come from observing how customers actually use your products, not just how you think they use them.
So are there ways you can observe your customers in action? Can you gather real-world data on how they use your products, what their pain points are, and how you can improve their experience?
Yeah, it's about going beyond surveys and focus groups and getting into the trenches to observe customer behavior firsthand.
Okay, this next idea is all about getting feedback from your most loyal customers.
Okay, customer feedback is essential for continuous improvement. It's the key to staying ahead of the curve and meeting those evolving customer needs.
So Blythe suggests forming a customer panel. It's like a group of your most engaged customers who are willing to provide regular feedback on your products, your services, your marketing efforts.
Yes, valuable resource, a sounding board for new ideas, a source of insights into customer needs and preferences.
He uses the example of this food company that formed a panel of their most loyal customers to get feedback on new product ideas.
So they're essentially tapping into the collective wisdom of their most engaged consumers.
Yeah, the panel provided valuable insights into, flavor profiles, packaging preferences, even pricing strategies.
Yeah, it's a reminder that sometimes the best ideas come from your customers themselves. They're the ones using your products and services. Yeah. So they're in the best position to provide that valuable feedback.
So could your business benefit from forming a customer panel? Who are your most loyal, most engaged customers?
Reach out to them, invite them to be a part of the conversation, and be prepared to listen to their feedback, both positive and negative.
All right, ready for an idea? That involves getting someone else to pay for your marketing.
Getting someone else to foot the bill.
Yeah.
For marketing? That certainly sounds appealing. I'm all ears.
It's about finding creative ways to generate revenue from your marketing efforts, rather than just seeing them as an expense.
Right. Turning marketing from a cost center into a profit center.
Exactly. Blythe uses the example of this website called thisismoney.co.uk, and they offer free financial news and advice to visitors.
Okay, providing valuable content on a complex topic. That's often difficult for consumers to navigate.
But they also generate revenue by selling advertising space to financial institutions.
Ah, I see. So they've created a platform that's attractive to both consumers and advertisers.
Exactly. Consumers get valuable content for free. Advertisers get access to a highly targeted audience.
A win-win, a mutually beneficial exchange of value.
So think about your own business. Are there ways you can create marketing assets that are valuable enough to attract sponsors or advertisers.
Could you offer valuable content, host events, or create online communities that would be attractive to businesses looking to reach your target audience?
All right. This next idea is all about making your marketing more experiential.
Okay, experiential marketing. It's all about engaging the senses, creating memorable experiences, and connecting with customers on an emotional level.
Blythe actually uses the term make people behave to describe creating marketing campaigns that encourage people to interact with your brand in a physical, tangible way.
Right. It's about moving beyond passive advertising and creating those interactive experiences that foster engagement and brand recall.
He shares a great example of a deodorant brand, Right Guard, that created a promotional campaign involving a train.
Train. I'm envisioning like a branded train, a traveling advertisement of sorts.
They actually converted an entire train into a giant Right Guard experience. The seats, the walls, everything was covered in Right Guard branding. They even had actors dressed as guards walking up and down the train, saying Right Guard.
Wow, a very memorable experience. It plays on the brand name and creates this multi-sensory encounter with the product.
It was brilliant. It got people talking. It generated a ton of media coverage. And it made Right Guard the most talked about deodorant brand in the country.
Yeah, it's a fantastic example of how experiential marketing can cut through the clutter, create buzz, and leave that lasting impression on consumers.
So how can you make people behave? What kind of experiences can you create that will get people talking, sharing, and engaging with your brand on a deeper level?
Yeah, it's about thinking outside of that traditional advertising box, finding creative ways to bring your brand to life in the real world.
Okay, this next idea involves creating a promotional item that's also a communication device.
Okay, promotional item. That doubles as a communication device. I'm intrigued. I'm imagining like a branded smartphone or a custom-designed smartwatch.
Blythe uses the example of a French telecom company, Tattoo, that gave away free pagers to teenagers. I know pagers are. So last century.
Yeah, definitely a relic of a bygone era.
But back then, pagers were all the rage, especially among teenagers. And Tattoo realized that a pager could be more than just a communication device. It could be a powerful marketing tool.
So they use the pager as a way to connect with their target audience, build brand loyalty, and drive sales.
Exactly. They pre-programmed the pagers with the numbers of other Tattoo users so teenagers could instantly connect with their friends and, form these little pager communities.
That's a clever strategy, leveraging the social aspect of the device to build brand affinity.
And it worked. Tattoo became the leading pager provider in France.
Wow.
So what's your pager? What kind of promotional item could you create that would be useful to your customers, but also help them connect with each other and with your brand?
Yeah, it's about finding those opportunities to create value and engagement that extend beyond the product itself.
All right, this next idea is about focusing your efforts on a specific and often overlooked customer segment.
Oh, niche marketing. Targeting a specific subset of the market, understanding their unique needs, and tailoring your offerings accordingly.
Blythe uses the example of a travel company called Saga, which specializes in vacations for older adults.
Oh, demographic often overlooked by mainstream travel companies, yet one with significant spending power and a desire for unique experiences.
You might think that older adults would be looking for, boring vacations, but Saga realized that wasn't the case at all.
Right.
They offer everything, from cruises to safaris to adventure tours. They even have a singles division for solo travelers.
Catering to a specific need within the niche, understanding the nuances of their target market.
And they've been incredibly successful. Saga is one of the leading travel companies in the UK. They've proven that there's a huge market for travel experiences that cater to the unique needs of older adults.
Yeah, it's a reminder that focusing on a niche market can be a highly effective strategy. It allows you to develop that deep expertise and build strong relationships with a specific customer group.
So are there any niche markets that you could be targeting? Are there any customer groups being underserved by your competitors?
Sometimes the greatest opportunities lie in those overlooked corners of the market. It's about finding those unmet needs and creating solutions that resonate with a specific audience.
Okay. Let's talk about loyalty programs. We all have those cards in our wallets.
Yeah, loyalty programs are everywhere, but often they're not very effective at building true loyalty. They tend to focus too much on discounts and rewards, which can create a transactional relationship, rather than a genuine connection.
Blythe uses the example of Tesco's Club Card program, and they've gone beyond just offering points and discounts. They actually use the data they collect from the Club Card to personalize their marketing efforts.
Well, that's data-driven marketing at its best, leveraging customer insights to tailor communications and offerings to individual needs and preferences.
So they track what customers buy, how often they shop, what their preferences are, and then they use that information to send targeted offers and promotions that are actually relevant to each individual customer.
It's about personalized marketing, creating a sense of individual recognition and value, moving beyond that generic one-size-fits-all approach.
And it works. Tesco is one of the most successful loyalty programs in the UK. They've proven that personalization is key to building true customer loyalty.